What's up, YouTube, Facebook, world? This is Taiwan, aka Big Ride, coming back to you with Chapter 9 in the saga of New Jack City 2, Son of Nino. Um, it is available for sale online on Amazon at and it's entitled The City, Son of Nico. And you spell that Neko, and it's available for your viewing pleasure. I'm doing you the audio book right now. Hope you're enjoying. Uh, Here's chapter 9. The scene outside the Falwell Apartments was a chaotic one, to say the least. There were multiple police cars out in the front and on the side of the building, as well as a paramedic unit. A couple of vans labeled with widely recognized TV station logos were also among the vehicles, and a well-known anchorman and woman were interviewing various neighbors that stayed around the area. Detective Blythe parked his unmarked cruiser on the other side of Dowling Avenue, directly across from the apartment building. Blythe walked past all of the news media personnel that were calling out to him. He was used to it by now. The whole building was bathed in the bright glow of all the lights that were part of their equipment. As he made his way into the building and towards the apartment of interest, as he made his way as he made his way into the building and towards the apartment of interest, he spotted his partner amidst a sea of light blue uniforms. Though Detective Carruthers was small in stature, he was easy to spot. He was the only other individual there who was not in uniform, and he and Carruthers had been partners in the homicide division for the past 13 years. "What do we got?" Blythe asked as he walked up to Carruthers and took a jelly-filled donut out of the bag he was holding. The trick of being able to eat around the gruesome seams that they sometimes discover was one learned years ago. They both had what was called a seasoned stomach amongst their fellow lawmen. "Looks like a homicide. The victim is Uniqua Andrews. She's 38 years old, single, and the mother of one 18-year-old by the name of Nino Brown. He's the one that called it in. He says her killer called him and talked to him after he committed the murder. After the call, he contacted the precinct and asked someone to perform a welfare check. This is what they found when they got here. So where's the son? Apparently on his way back here from New Jack City. He just got up there yesterday and he's staying with a relative. He reportedly went up there ahead of his mother, and he was down there getting their affairs in order before she followed him out there. I guess that would explain the bags and moving boxes in here." Blythe looked at the moving materials as if they could give him some further insight as to what may have transpired there. Hmm. "So what would have been the time of death?" he asked. "Well, assuming that the killer called immediately after the murder, then I would have to say a little over an hour ago. We checked our phone records, and the last call was made at 8:53 p.m. and lasted until 8:56. After that, no other calls were made or received from the phone. There were a few missed calls from 9:08 until 9:20, but they all came from her son's phone." Carruthers shook his head. "It's a damn shame." "Yeah, but it's also peculiar," Blythe commented. Carruthers looked at his partner. "How so? Don't you find it a little funny that the day after he moved out, his mother is brutally murdered? And not only that, but the killer gives him a courtesy call? What kind of shit is that? And what did they talk about for 3 minutes? We asked him that. And he said that he was mostly taunting him about the fact that his mother was dead." Blythe looked thoughtful and then walked over to Nikki's lifeless body. Her face was battered, swollen, and totally drenched in blood. He didn't miss a beat as he took a bite of his donut. Sounds like bullshit. This definitely looks personal to me. He said he doesn't know who he was. Is he a known gang member? Not as far as we know. He's not in any of our gang files, and his name doesn't come up with any hits in our databases. Hmm, he said, looking around. It doesn't look like a robbery, so where's the motive? What did the neighbors say? So far, none of them have been really helpful. Nobody's seen or heard anything. Everyone is just shocked. Said as far as they knew, the kid was a good kid, and he and his mother basically kept him to themselves, Carruthers explained. Blythe took a deep breath and exhaled. It just doesn't add up, he began, and ate the last bit of his pastry. What 18-year-old boy do you know that would leave his mother all alone to pack up their apartment and move by herself while he goes ahead of her? When I was coming up, I was an only child. My mother raised me in a single parent home, and I'll tell you right now, there is no one as overprotective of their mother than a young and hormonally challenged, rapidly growing boy. If I had to guess, I would say that this is drug related. He was running from someone, and whoever he was running from caught up with her before she could get away. Questions were asked, threats were made, and words were exchanged. In the end, she wound up catching the heat for her son. Carruthers tossed the theory around in his head for a minute before nodding in agreement. I guess I could see that, he remarked, scratching his chin. We won't be able to fill in any more of the blanks until we talk to him. He should be here sometime tomorrow. The officer that talked with him left our name and told him to stop in so we could have a talk with him. Well, I guess we'll just have to wait on Mr. Brown to show up then. I guess we will, Carruthers agreed. At that exact moment, their anticipated guest of honor was on the road, riding solo. He left Big Tiny in charge with approximately 9 ounces of the cooked product and enough capsules to package up a good amount of it in every denomination. When he told everyone what had happened, they offered their condolences and tried to accompany him on the trip back home. Even the guys from his killer crew, which was touching, especially since they hadn't known him that long. In the end, he denied everyone and assured them that this was something he would rather take care of by himself. He knew that one of two things would happen when he got there and encountered Heartless. Either Heartless was going to kill him or he was going to kill Heartless. He was opting for the latter. Heartless stepped off the elevator onto the 8th floor of the government center and turned right to go into the waiting area of Hennepin County's adult parole and probation services. When he got to the receptionist's desk, he smiled at the fairly attractive black woman that sat behind it. She returned his smile half-heartedly and waited for him to speak. Hello, my name is Henry Simmons, and I'm here to see my PO, Gertrude Miller. Do you have an appointment, Mr. Simmons? Yes, ma'am, I do, he said politely. It's for 11 o'clock this morning. All right, sign in on the clipboard and I'll let her know you're here. Thank you, he said as he signed in. The receptionist picked up the phone and began to dial. You can have a seat and she'll be right with you, she said after she got off the phone. Harless went and took his seat, waiting patiently. A couple of minutes went by before 3 Hennepin County sheriffs came into the area and stood blocking the doorway. Henry acknowledged their presence, but wasn't particularly worried about them. Why should he be? After all, he hadn't done anything that they would know about. At least he hoped they didn't. Just as he was about to let his nerves get the best of him, his officer came from the area in the back, making her way towards him. He stood up and smiled at her, but she did not return it. He immediately knew something was up. Henry, these men are here for you, she stated as she got close to him. Henry was confused. Here for me? For what? You had another dirty UA. I told you after the last one that if it happened again, I would be seeking jail time. I spoke with the judge and I told him that I would be recommending 6 months. I was inclined to believe that he would go along with my recommendation. What? 6 months? For a dirty UA? Bitch, are you crazy? He bellowed. 2 deputies stepped forward and one of them grabbed him by the arm. Sir, turn around and place your hands behind you, he instructed. Hank expertly snatched away from him. Get the fuck away from me. Fuck you mean 6 months for a dirty UA, he asked threateningly as he advanced toward her. You acting like I caught another case or something. The deputies blocked his path. Turn around and place your hands behind you now, one of them ordered. Fuck you, I ain't doing shit, he raised and stepped back, kicking a row of chairs over. His attention turned to the receptionist behind the glass, and his eyes slid in anger. Bitch, you knew about this? You already working for these white motherfuckers, then you gonna help them lock me up? You ain't shit, he snapped, spraying spittle from his mouth onto the glass. The receptionist looked on, mortified. While his attention was diverted, two of the deputies jumped him from behind and tackled him to the floor. Get off me! Get the fuck off me, motherfuckers! He yelled while writhing on the floor, trying to get away. The sheriff proceeded to handcuff him despite his efforts. Henry, you need to calm down. You got no one else to blame for this but yourself, she chided. Fuck you, you miserable ass bitch. And I'm going to ask the judge for more time considering your little outburst here today, she announced as he was being led away. You and the judge can suck my dick, you fucking tramp. He shot back while kicking, twisting, and shouting obscenities all the way to the lockup area. Nino sat in a large meeting area off to the right of the front of the desk at the 4th Precinct in North Minneapolis. He looked back and forth between Detective Blythe and Detective Carruthers and could not believe what he was hearing. So wait a minute. Let me get this straight. My mother is dead. She's been murdered. And you sit here asking me if it was directly or indirectly linked to me? He asked in disbelief. Look, we just want to know if you did something that may have contributed to her death. That's all. If you did, and I'm not saying you did, but if you did, then maybe it was an unintentional. It happens all the time, Carruthers explained. Nino just shook his head. Unfucking believable, he said, standing up. Hey, we know that this is an exceptionally hard time for you right now, and as difficult as it may be for you to believe, we're just trying to do our job. We're on your side. Really? Because I can't tell, Nino countered. Hey, there's no need to be rude. Well, somebody should have told you that before I got here, Nino said, before he left out. When he was gone, the two detectives turned and looked at each other. So, what do you think? Carruthers asked. About what? About him. You think he knows anything? Blythe tossed the question around in his head for a moment. It's hard to say. If he does, he ain't saying. He seems like a tough cookie to crack. That's only because we don't have anything incriminating to hold over his head. When that happens, they all start singing a different tune. Both Blythe and Carruthers smiled at that. Yeah, they do, don't they? So, what do you think we should do? Turn the heat up and see if he starts to sweat? Carruthers inquired. Blythe stood up out of his chair side and hitched his pants up higher on his sagging behind. Nah, fuck it. Why should we work harder when he's not even willing to cooperate? I say fuck him. It was his mother and she's dead. If he don't care, then why the fuck should we? Carruthers shrugged his shoulders. Hey, what can I say? When you're right, you're right. Both men left the meeting room content and ready to shuffle through the rest of the day. Nino stomped out of the precinct, fuming mad. He couldn't believe the audacity of the two detectives. Even though they were correct in their assumptions about his involvement, how dare they? How dare they take his mother's death and try to use it to jam him up? No matter what the case, didn't she deserve just as much tenacity as they were put towards solving the murder of a young blonde woman in the suburbs? Well, fuck them. If there was one thing he knew for sure, it was not to put too much faith in the system, because though it governed us all, it was not made for us all. Nino was so involved in his own thoughts that he didn't notice the older, sharply dressed Hispanic man with the slick ponytail coming his way. Excuse me, Senor Brown? Nino heard his name and swiveled around immediately on point. The man had a smooth, olive-colored face whose texture belied his years. His eyes were a perfect distance apart, the color of dark coal, and seemed to be chiseled into his exquisitely attractive face. He was expensively dressed without being overdressed, as people tended to do so much. The gold he wore was moderate and tasteful, a simple Cuban link bracelet on his right wrist, a gold nugget watch on his left, an average length gold rope necklace with a crucifix for the charm, and a full carat diamond in his left ear. Despite the warm weather, the unidentified man was dressed in a gray three-piece suit. "Who are you?" he asked warily. "A friend, I assure you, Senor Brown," he told him, throwing his hands up in front of him passively. Nino looked at Nino looked at him with indifference. "You ain't no friend of mine. I ain't never seen you before in my life," he said, looking around. Given the circumstances and considering what had just happened, he was feeling kind of naked without his gun. He spotted his car about 25 yards away from them, and even if he could get to it, there was still the matter of getting it out of the stash spot. The man nodded his head in understanding. "I understand your caution, Senor. Please allow me to introduce myself. My name is Manuel, but you can call me Manny. I work for a very important man by the name of Juan Ortiz. You may call him Ortiz. On behalf of my employer and myself, I would like to offer our most sincere apologies, as well as our most heartfelt condolences. He would offer them to you himself, but unfortunately, he does not speak English." Immediately, his mind went back to the confrontation that he had with Bear, and he knew exactly who he was. Manny was the employee of Bear's Connect. His eyes blazed with fury, and now there was only one question in his head that was begging to be asked. "Where is Bear?" "Bear is in jail, and his nephew, the one they refer to as Heartless Hank, he is in the county jail as well." Nino was surprised. Both pieces of information came as news to him. "In jail? For what?" he asked, confused. "Bear is in jail for the murder of his girlfriend, and his nephew is locked up for a, how do you say, probation violation." "Damn," he said in a combination of both frustration and disappointment. He had been trying to call Bear the whole time he was on the road back to Minneapolis. Now he knew why he had never answered the phone. Manny saw his reaction to the news and understood. "You are interested in revenge," he stated plainly. "What the fuck you think? We can help you with this." "Help me?" Nino asked, not fully believing what he was hearing. "Why would you want to help me when Bear is the one you do business with?" "Senor Brown, my employer is fully aware of what transpired between you and Bear, and let's just say that he is not in total agreement. He feels that what he did was completely out of line, and he can deeply appreciate your feelings on the matter. After all, we all have mothers. The way he went about handling it was done in very poor taste. And to tell you the truth, he has never really cared for Bear in more than a business sense. He was merely a good earner." Nino was intrigued, but still unclear on a couple of things. "How can anything happen to him if he is in jail?" Nino asked. Manny gave him a knowing smile. "I can understand your skepticism, but believe me when I tell you that though my employer is a relatively small man, his reach is very long. That is all I'm at liberty to say. Here," he said, reaching into his jacket pocket and pulling out a card. "My employer is looking for someone to replace the position that Bear held in our organization, and he thinks that you would be an ideal candidate. If you are interested in payback as well as getting paid, then give us a call. If you would just like justice, then please call the number. If you are interested in neither, then simply throw the card away, and there will be no questions asked." Nino was astounded. He looked from the card in his hand to Manny and furrowed his eyebrows downward. "Why are you doing this? You don't even know me." "Senor Brown, we know a lot more about you than you may think. Your father, he was a legendary man, a true icon. If you are indeed his son, then you too possess the same potential inside of you. We feel that you would do fine as long as you have the right connect. Senor Brown, We are the right connect. Oh, and I hope you do not mind, but my employer and I took the liberty of picking up the tab for your mother's funeral, as well as taking care of your accommodations while you are here. Here is the name and number of the funeral home who will take care of her final arrangements. They will treat her like royalty. And this is a key card that belongs to a penthouse suite at the Northland Inn. You are welcome to stay as long as you like. Order whatever you want, and the bill will be taken care of. No questions asked. Nino was at a loss for words. Thank you was all he could manage to say. No thanks are necessary. I assure you, once again, you have our most sincere apologies for your devastating loss. We will be awaiting your call to inform us of your decision. Good day, Senor Brown. Good day, Nino replied, awestruck. Manny was almost to his car before Nino was able to gather himself and control his tongue. Hey, Manny, he yelled as he was about to enter an all-black Maybach with tinted windows. Yes? Call me Nino. Manny flashed him a winning smile. Very well. Nino it is. Have a good day, Nino. You too, Manny, he said as he entered the luxury car. The chauffeur quickly closed the door, and Nino watched as the stretched vehicle made its way off of the street and into traffic. He smiled in spite of himself, popped the card in his hand with his finger, and ambled off toward his car. The Carter Apartments was a tall, four-corner box-shaped building with a total of 16 floors and approximately 20 apartments on each floor. It was originally built to provide housing for low-income families, but over the years had become home to what was now a cesspool of drugs, murders, gangs, and prostitution. The playground was available for any children whose parents were either negligent, brave, or foolish enough to allow their children to play there. These days, the playground with its spotted patches of grass wasn't used for anything but drug transactions, gang meetings, and drug usage. On some late nights, it was also a convenient place for supposedly discreet rendezvous. Regardless of its appearance and its intended use, the Carter Apartments was also home to a multi-million dollar drug enterprise with crack as its main headliner. It was in front of its it was in front of this brown, tired, and worn building that Double D, DJ, and Smoke now stood trying to peddle the drugs that they had spent most of the previous day packaging. Man, I'm glad to be done bagging that shit up, DJ began. On the real, I ain't never seen so much dope before in my life, Smoke said. Double D shook his head as he recalled the sight of it all. Fuck all that. What I really want to know is where did Nino even get all that shit? See? Smoke intercepted, pointing a finger at him in chastisement. You worry about the wrong thing. That's what's wrong with niggas nowadays. Didn't nobody ever tell you not to look a gift horse in the mouth? Now me, I don't care. Just as long as the shit keeps coming and I get paid, we good. You feel me? Man, I'm gonna have every color and style of Vans they ever made. I'm gonna be coldest dressed motherfucker there is, DJ announced dreamily. Double D smiled and shook his head at him. This nigga, he said. Smoke gave him a look of impatience with a flared up nose and twisted lip. Look, DJ, I don't know what you've been told, but a pair of Vans don't make you the coldest dressed motherfucker nowhere. So you can get that out of your head right now. Out of all of us right here, who's the best dressed? DJ asked. Both Double D and Smoke looked him up and down from head to toe. Not you, they both chorused and fell out laughing while giving each other daps. Man, fuck both of y'all. Y'all niggas just some haters, he said, popping his collar. Got my Vans on, but they look like sneakers, he sang. Double D shook his head at him again and then went to proposition another potential customer that came walking up. The customer shook her head no and continued her way to the building. All of them had continued to joke around with each other to help to pass the time. None of them noticed the group of 5 men that had come out of the building and were headed their way. Hey, one of them yelled, but no one turned around. Hey, motherfuckers, he shouted again. This time, all of them stopped and turned to see what all the commotion was about. When they saw the man, it was too late. They were already up close to them and surrounding them in a circle. The few bystanders that were outside sensed trouble brewing and quickly made themselves scarce. If there was one thing the New Jack City residents were known for, it was minding their own business. What's up? Smoke questioned, assuming the role of leader. That's what we want to know. What the fuck is up? I don't know. You tell us, Smoke shot back. The person who had been doing the talking looked at his boys and gave a short laugh, pointing his thumb mockingly at Smoke as if to say, can you believe this guy? All right, nigga, here's an easier question for you. Who the fuck are you? We CMB, DJ announced proudly. His answer brought a round of laughter from the opposing side. CMB, he asked. Yeah, CMB, the Cash Money Brothers. This made them laugh even harder. The Cash Money Brothers, he asked again, still laughing. Yeah, that's right. Motherfucker, did you get the memo? Ain't no more CMB around here. The Cash Money Brothers are dead, and they have been for a long time. The Carter Apartments belong to the people who stay here now. We live here, we work here, and we run this motherfucker. That's how it's been forever, and that's how it's gonna stay. Oh yeah? Double D asked, joining the conversation. Yeah, he said, pulling a Glock out, pulling out a Glock 9. All of his men followed suit and pulled guns of their own out. When they pointed them at them, everyone threw their hands up. I heard you the nigga out here trying to serve and shit, he said, walking up closer to Double D with the gun pointing in his face. Double D kept his hands pointed toward the sky and remained quiet. What? You ain't got nothing to say now, right? Huh? Nah, man, it's cool, he answered, terrified. Look at him, shaking like booty meat. Empty your pockets, motherfucker. Huh? The man that was holding the gun in his face pushed the muzzle of it into his jaw. If you say hum one more time, I'm going to sign your ass up for a free facelift. Now do like I told you and empty your motherfucking pockets, he ordered again. Double D obeyed, his shaky hands going in his pockets and coming out, dropping everything he had in them on the ground. Money was on one side, dope on the other. That's everything, he asked, even though Double D's pockets were turned inside out, looking like the ears on a bunny rabbit. Yeah. All right, check this out. You motherfuckers ain't welcome here no more. You scary, you ugly, and we just plain and simply don't like your motherfucking asses. Ain't no more CMB, motherfucker. And if it was, they wouldn't have your bitch ass or none of your asses for that matter. But I'll tell you what, I'll make a deal with you. If you could bring Nino Brown's motherfucking ass back from the dead, then you could be CMB, all right? As a matter of fact, I'll lay down and make way for you my motherfucking self. But unless you can do that, I bet not never, ever catch you or none of your punk ass friends around this way again. Unless you motherfuckers got some more money or dope for me. And in that case, just ask for Dolph. You hear me? Yeah, Dolph, I hear you. And just to make sure you do, he said, and suddenly pulled back with his left hand and struck him hard on the right side of his jaw. Double D went down in a heap. Dolph began stumping him, and two of his cohorts came and started to help him, while the other two stood and kept their guns trained on Smoke and DJ. When they were finished, Double D laid there dirty, broken, and bloody. Dolph looked up with a sinister sneer on his face. Come pick your boy up and y'all get the fuck out of my projects. That was the end of chapter 9, New Jack City 2, Son of Nino. I hope you guys are enjoying this. I worked really hard on it. You can buy the book on Amazon. It's entitled The City, Son of Nico, and you spell it Neko. Thank you for watching. I appreciate your viewership, and I'll be back with you for chapter 10 of New Jack City 2, Son of Nino. Peace out.